All right. Thank you very much, Jordan. And can you just give me a little shake of the head that everything looks okay on the broadcast end?
Looks good. Thank you.
Terrific. That's great. Um, well, hello again, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here again with you today. And I'm coming to you today from the San Francisco Bay Area, as usual. I'm here with my wonderful colleague, Elizabeth Anderson, who is lurking somewhere in the back area, keeping an eye on the chat room, taking notes. In fact, I need to get my chat to open up correctly so that I can follow your comments. And I just got to rearrange my real estate here a little bit. Okay, great. So today's live class, live/discussion class, is focused on tech tools. And we wanted to see, I'm having a little trouble with my screen here. Okay, there we go. And what we wanted to do today was to dive into a couple different areas of technology. So many of you are, of course, already using the Colorado Gives 365 tools. I've been doing so for a year or so, using them with your campaigns. We wanted to expand the topic a little bit. As you can see here on the screen, we're going to start off by talking about your websites. We're also going to explore a couple of other tech tools that are available to you in the wider universe of technology, campaigning, marketing, communications, etc. We'll round that off with a short discussion about social media, and then we'll end to round it off with the Colorado Gives 365 tools themselves. And Jordan will be jumping in and out of the conversation today. And of course, we invite all of you to post anytime you have a comment or question in the Zoom chat. We'll have Q&As throughout and also at the end. So hopefully, even though I will inevitably do most of the talking, please interrupt me, because that way I can take a drink of water. And also, just as something comes to mind for you, I have to say, thinking about the chat room from the last couple sessions and talking with Elizabeth and Jordan, just wanted to appreciate you all for using the chat room, because I felt like we learned a lot from you, what was on your mind, questions that you had. It helps us also think about what we want to cover as we go forward. Okay, so that was my attempts to frame today, and then there we go. Quick housekeeping notes, of course, as you know, we're recorded, and then all these other links, and these will of course be part of the deck when Jordan and her team get to send this back out to you. So that's just FYI. And great. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my screen, so just give me 1 second while right, okay, there we go. Sorry, this is one of these things where you got to get your screen real estate just right so that you can keep track of everything that's going on. The meeting chat, the presentation. I like to see all your little pictures also on the screen, because that's also super helpful for me to keep track of who's doing what over there. Also, we will reconvene next Tuesday, as you can see on the screen here, in our part 2 learning lab. We'll cover the same topic. So I just wanted to say that we're going to be looking for folks who want to participate in that, who have a couple of issues that they want to talk about, things that are unique to your specific situation. So that's post something in the chat, drop us an email, however you want. That's a 60-minute session. As you'll remember from last time, we dove into a couple of topics that I think were useful, and we will continue to have that format. So today, a live class, next week a learning lab, and then we are working on another set of sessions for the month of April that we think will also interest you. We'll be digging into a couple of other fundraising topics that we think will be pretty engaging, so you can stay tuned for that. Great. Okay, so why don't we dig into our first tech tool topic today, which is about your website. And I think that the main theme that we wanted to just ground this on is that, the reason why, we all have websites in the universe of websites is really to allow you as a nonprofit, as an organization, to build trust with with your constituencies, with your donors, with your any kind of partners, business partners, people in the community. But really this theme of trust is the one that I want to sort of lay out there, and that by using your website, by using your social media, and also the sort of the search results that this facilitates, it's really about creating this transparency, this digital transparency between you and the world out there. I will say that I've so enjoyed uh, looking at, watching your websites evolve, and also your social media posts. Is so fascinating, just to see the content that you put together. Some of your sites are changing, the ones that have modules that change. I'm always interested in how you're trying to pull people into events. On your social media, kind of same thing. The constant flow of material that you're sending out. Obviously, you should add to this list, obviously, the email messaging that you're sending on regularly. But today we just wanted to focus on a couple of your websites. These are two examples from Work Options and Turning the Wheel. I just, these always jumped out at me right from the beginning. I love sort of the face forward, the smiles, the people. I think it's really about drawing people in, and I think a lot of that trust gets built by doing that, which is showing what you're up to in the community, what your everyday activities are. So I just want to celebrate the work that you've all done to be able to do that, and these are two great examples of that that I think showcase that. And yeah, and digital transparency is also not just about pictures of people, but it's also about the information, the knowledge that you build out on your site, whether it's through the sections of your site, how to get involved. I was looking earlier today at the American Solar Energy Society site, which I have to say is definitely one of the most extensive one that I've seen as part of our cohort. And really just the amount of work that you've put in, I think, in the name of that sort of transparency and engagement is pretty impressive. There are so many just navigational elements, upcoming events, things you can read. I mean, just thumbs up to you for putting the work into having built that, and also maintaining it on a regular basis. And hopefully, you you get the feedback and the engagement from your partners, supporters, donors, and others who get a chance to do that. I was looking at the Shiloh House site earlier, and I just was thinking at the time that, like, even just the work that you do around your blog, writing stories, case studies, what families are up to, what parents are up to, what's going on in schools, in and out of schools, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's just that kind of stuff, I think, is really what this is all about. And then remembering as well that when you build things on your websites, that stuff gets cataloged in all the search engines, the national global search engines, or people that are local in Colorado that are looking for things around them. The search engines are using your website as their raw material. So that transparency extends also to how people find you, and then find these issues that you're building around. I was just going to give another example of sort of this trust theme. This is a client that I work with in Marin, California, and we ended up playing around with these concept of trust seals, which I know many of you have and have gotten from organizations. There's a few just on the bottom right here, Greater Nonprofits, Candid, Charity Navigator, etc. As you know, give out all kinds of seals. They give you ratings and rankings and stars and all kinds of things like that. And I was just, at Community Action Marin, I just remember, we just sort of leaned into these trust seals because we thought that was an important way to, distinguish yourself among all the nonprofits that people have to choose from when making gifts. So they decided to add these trust seals to the footer of their site. This is their homepage, just broken into two parts. So they've got these 6 trust seals. They also put the trust seals on their bottom of their donation pages. They put them on a bottom of their, their annual reports, their impact reports. But this was sort of another example in that same kind of theme around trust that I just wanted to showcase for you. And I'm just taking a quick peek at the chat. Great. Yes, absolutely, Tessa. Happy to showcase what you're doing. The other theme that I wanted to lean into today around the website, around transparency and trust, is really using your website and making it as easy as possible for your website visitors to sign up for email updates. And as I think I've mentioned to you all before, I visit your sites regularly, trying to learn what you're up to. And a couple of these things caught my eye, just like two examples. So I'm happy to showcase, like, work options and Shiloh Health and Mile High Workshop here. You'll notice on the work options page, I was thinking, okay, where do I sign up to get updates? It looks like it's all the way down at the bottom here in the footer. If I was on a mobile device, that would be pretty hard to find. I couldn't see where else the link was. I mean, there's other links on the page, but that seemed a little bit far down the page. I was on the Shiloh House site. I thought, oh, this one's a little bit interesting. This is a little bit further up the page. And then as I was over here on the Mile High Workshop, not only did I find a link, we'll get to this in a minute, but they have they have a pop-up that comes right at the top. And I think the theme that I wanted to leave with you here as you're thinking about your sites, just really take advantage of what we call the above the fold area, this top of your site. This is the part of the site that people see first when they come on a bigger browser, they come on a laptop, they come on a screen, they come on an iPad, a digital tablet of some kind. So you really want to, just emphasize that, getting people to sign up for email updates is a critical reason why you have a website. So we just want to always try to focus on that as much as possible. Let me just pass to the next screen. I'm still having a little trouble with my screen, but I think we'll get there. So yeah, and really just want to highlight this idea of the pop-up. I think that, on the one hand, I know that, like, let me just go back a screen. Okay, to build out, some of these pieces here, whether it was work options or Shiloh House, I mean, you'd have to architect your website to be able to add those things into it. What's really great about the pop-up technology in websites is that you can just add this sort of as an extra. You can add it as an add-on to your site, no matter what kind of a software you use for your website. Most of them offer pop-ups as an extra add-on. This one from our friends at the Mile High Workshop is actually using a pop-up that's provided by MailChimp, which is they provide a little piece of code. The little code you hand off to your webmaster, to your webmistress, and they can add them in. And you can see here that it's inviting people to subscribe. And then when people fill this out, and I'm sure many of you have done this, click the subscribe button, boop, and it drops the email right over into MailChimp, Constant Contact, or whatever other platform, email platform you might be using. So this connection between the web and the email, just so important as part of your efforts to build your list, to be out there in the community, to stay in contact with folks, to get people engaged. So really encourage folks. I mean, I know that there's some folks don't, some organizations and some individuals I know don't always like the pop-up. It's very interruptive. It's sort of like right in your face. I mean, I would say, sure, if you're on the Macy's website and you keep getting offers for 20% off your next purchase, that can sometimes be a little bit annoying. I mean, I hope that you'll lean into the positive nature of, like, getting in front of your supporters and asking them to subscribe, or to, and there are so many different ways, by the way, different types of pop-ups that you can have. I try to look at an assortment. I mean, I noticed I was on the American Solar Energy Society. They've got a pop-up running this week for their upcoming conference. I thought, that's great. That's perfect, and if after I was done looking at it, I clicked the little button and made it go away. Some of these over here are examples of others. I mean, you can put pop-ups for your fundraising campaigns. Here's a match, here's a monthly gift one on the left, and then down over here, again, my friends at the Community Action Marin, whenever they release their impact report, which is in October, they promote it for 3 weeks with a pop-up, which definitely encourages downloads and visits. So just thinking about, the flexibility of these tools for you, and encouraging you to think about those as you go. Gonna make sure that I am.
I'm
To
curious.
Tessa Houston.
Oh, go ahead.
Mhm.
I was just going
Oh,
to say,
I was
I'm
just gonna.
curious to hear who's using pop-ups, basically.
That was where I was going. Thank you, Jordan. Yes, exactly. If folks are using them, please sound off in the chat, or jump into the conversation. But I'll just answer Tessa's question. Do most people not have pop-ups blocked on their browser? Yes, that is correct. Some people do. I think the phrase most is sort of open to interpretation. I mean, in my sort of casual sense of it, it's sort of like it's probably 50-50 or 40-60 or whatever. It can be kind of random, I think. And I think the thinking about them is like, you put the pop-up there in the hope that you'll reach some people. You won't reach them all. Agree with you, Tessa. Some people do have blockers. They have things plugged into their websites, or they're using a certain type of a site that will block them. So again, you can't reach everybody. But I think the idea is you're gonna put them out there so you can reach some of the folks. And again, when you set up a pop-up, depending on which kind you use, I don't want to get overly technical here. You can also control how often they show up. They can show up every time someone links. It can remember when someone has been there a few days before, if people are coming to your site over and over. So you can actually control the frequency that they show up, which pages they show up on. You can show them just on the home page. You can show them on other pages. So it's really something that you can adjust and control, and that kind of thing. Yeah. Who else in the chat room? Yeah. Should I assume, Jordan, that we don't have a ton of pop-ups out there among our cohort today? But I'm hoping that some other folks are using them, and I certainly encourage you all to experiment with them over the next couple of months.
Yeah. Does anybody else, excuse me, want to share your experience with pop-ups, if you've used them before for specific things related to your website, or if it's just not a strategy you guys have used right now? Okay, great. And I did add in the chat an FAQ for both MailChimp and Constant Contact on pop-ups. Any of your major CRMs or marketing tools will likely, offer you how-tos to set that up on your own.
Thanks for your comment, Abby Dubois. And also Mo Fair. Mo, can I ask you, when you say various reasons, can you just tell us a little bit about what you're using them for currently?
Yeah, I apologize. I popped on a little late, so I didn't know what our rules were with using our microphone. We have Squarespace as our website platform, and so they have a marketing add-on on top of the just general subscription. So we have that add-on, which allows for various types of pop-ups, and so we have used those pop-ups to alert people of a canceled volunteer day. We use the pop-ups to let people know that we are closing our year-end campaign and how far we are from meeting our goals. We have used the pop-ups before if we have a unique event like a fundraiser or a mural festival. We very rarely use it for a direct ask, though. It's mostly used to inform people of something that's coming up.
Yeah, that's super helpful, Mo. Thank you so much for that. And that's interesting, your comment about not using them for fundraising. I mean, I know some people, use them, pretty aggressively in the middle of their fundraising, or for a few days over, Giving Tuesday or Colorado Gives Day or things like that. But, I think it's sounds like you're using them in a very flexible way for lots of different reasons. Heather Korth, that was interesting that you said we tried one for newsletter sign up, but didn't generate any signups, so we took them down. Well, good on you to give that a try, and good on you to pull it off when it didn't deliver results. So I think, I think these tools are here for us to keep, testing and trying, seeing what engagement works, but, let's take these things down if they don't work. Absolutely. For sure. That's great. And thank you, Juliana. I know you've been dealing with this Salesforce Marketing Cloud stuff. So that's great. Juliana, when you're what do your pop-ups promote when you do plan to get them back up and running? Can I ask you?
Yeah, I mean, we had a basic just mailing list sign up pop up or initially. I don't think we've really thought too far beyond what we would do if once we got it working again. I guess maybe a question that I have that I haven't really asked myself yet is whether we would need to use a different tool. For example, if we wanted to have pop-ups around our fundraising initiatives or other special events, that would be kind of a different sort of pop-up. We're just having all kinds of website issues, so I'm trying to get a handle over one platform at a time. But I guess, yeah, it's probably a different tool, a different kind of pop-up that we would need to figure out to do that too. So yeah, I see lots of potential, but also kind of the hurdle of figuring out how to get started in each way, in each platform.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that, Juliana. I think you're right. There can be a little bit of complexity in sort of managing kind of the back end. I mean, keeping in mind though that as a piece of technology, a pop-up is actually a pretty simple thing. It's just like a little mini web page that like overlays it. But really, if you see on the screen, if these buttons, make a monthly gift, read the new report, register today, donate now. I mean, those buttons just link to wherever you want them to go. So they either link to a donation page, they link to a PDF, they link to another page on your website. So, hopefully when you get around to your Salesforce Marketing Cloud transition, that you can, get those up and running again. Allison Kalich, I'm just going to ask you real quick, and then we'll move on. What are you interested in using them for your website when you get them going?
Yeah, I think possibly the newsletter sign up. Right now, our newsletter sign up is at the very bottom of our web page, and I like what you said about getting that higher up. We also do like these mobile distribution events that sometimes get canceled in inclement weather. And so right now our website's set up, we have like what's called a feature at the top, which can kind of easily be changed. And that's what I've been doing, but I kind of actually like the idea of a pop-up instead saying that the event has been canceled because of weather. And that could go on our homepage and then the page with our calendar where we talk about the events. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
I'm curious.
Yeah,
I love the idea of
great.
canceled events. Is there a call to action like RSVP for the next one or something? Or is it really just, hey, this isn't happening because of weather? I'm just curious how you might set that up.
We don't require people to register for ahead of time. And so it would probably just be more of an informational thing. A lot of time it's pretty short notice. Like we had to cancel last Thursday because of the weather, we're outside. And so like Wednesday we found out, so it's very short. And a lot of our clients, like we don't have emails for clients specifically. And so it's either social media or the website to get that information out that it's canceled. So no call to action for that one, I don't think.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. I'm loving all these examples of how you're all either using pop-ups now or planning to. I mean, they're really a great tool. I mean, some of the downsides, of course, are, some of the people do find them interruptive. You also have to make a decision about whether you want to show them on mobile devices. Typically, there's a little sort of checkbox where you can say yes or no for mobile. Some of the challenges with these things is that, they sometimes don't display quite as nicely on mobile, but you can do a little bit of testing. I mean, if really with someone like Allison's example, if people are using these as like a last minute thing to sort of check if some event has been canceled, I mean, using them on mobile would actually be pretty helpful. So I think that sounds great. So thanks for sharing that. Let's keep pushing forward in this conversation about websites. I think the other theme that I wanted to lean into was just, highlighting just how, websites can really be prioritized and built around, your ability to tell the story of your organization, and just all the ongoing content that you can present out to people. I found a few examples from our front porch and History Core and the Mile High Workshop. I love the use of video here right on the front of our front porch, which I thought was really powerful. The video, of course, is just fantastic. I mean, you could have buried that somewhere on the site, but I like the way it's just right up front. Let it tell the story for you. And I also like the sign up thing over here with History Core. I just just a lot of, you bring a lot of these visuals and sort of right onto your page. So I thought that was really nice. And then Mile High Workshop, hey, kudos for embedding your Instagram feed right here, and letting, I mean, this is stuff you're probably updating on a regular basis, and through a little bit of simple automation and a little widget on your site, you're able to bring this stuff right onto your site. And of course, Mile High Workshop, you also have a video. So just kudos to all of you for having for putting that together. Here's a couple of other examples that I really enjoyed from the cohort, from Inside the Orchestra, and my screen is blocked a little bit here. But just really strong use of photos to just tell the story, hopefully get a smile on the face of a visitor. I mean, if someone is not familiar with your organization, comes to visit, I think, just the way, I mean, there are very few words on these pages, which is fine with me. You're letting the photos do the work. And of course, plenty of buttons to keep exploring. I just really love everything that you've built out here. So keep that up. I think the other thing that we just want to kind of end up with is really, just really trying to think as much as possible about how to, make the language of your website as simple and easy for people to understand. This is a great example that Jordan had shared with me, that I think is from some work that Firefly Partners had done, and just a great example of a website. This is the top and the bottom of the site, that uses a lot of visual cues, a lot of color, and just really easy sort of calls to action and some navigation pieces. I mean, I love the navigation at the top with get involved and getting updates. I think these big action panels, sign a petition, donate. I mean, just terrific presentation here. Super visual, just great. And I think, as you all have a chance to evolve your website and thinking about, how to really engage the visitor, hopefully these types of examples will continue to inspire you, and give you ideas. Great. And then a final theme, and I'll pass this over to Jordan also for some of her thoughts as well. Just remembering, because this is a course on digital fundraising, always encouraging you to make the giving opportunities on your website as visible as possible. I love the way Work Options on the left here does that. They've got a nice colorful button at the top, yay for the top of the page. They also have a panel kind of in the middle as well. Over here on Historic Route County, they have a button at the top, would probably be pop up if it was different color, but I love that it's at the top. So good on you for that. And they've got a donation widget right here on the homepage. So, way to go to use the Mighty Cause tools to be able to put that right up front with people. So I really, like what you're doing there. Jordan, I'm going to pass it over to you for a few more thoughts and comments on this theme.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let me just adjust here.
And I can move to another screen if we have to. So just let me know.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
Oh, fair enough. Yep.
All righty. So I just wanted to show you in real time some things that I've been noticing, again, as I'm talking with you guys one-on-one, as I'm reviewing your websites and your Colorado Gives pages. So just a couple of tips, really to make sure you're keeping donors on your website and that they're donating and engaging with what's on your website. So I wanted to use the example of Colorado Coalition Against Sexual Assault because I've been working with them directly, and they are really discovering what it means to rebrand themselves, even though they are decades old as an organization. So what we're seeing here is their external website. And when you go to click on their donate button, you'll see that it goes to their Colorado Gives page. And so from a user's perspective, from a potential donor's perspective, this isn't necessarily the most congruent way to let a donor give. because they're landing here. They've already been on your website. They've already read about you. And now they're landing here and they have to press donate again in order to get to the actual form. And so my first bit of advice to you guys as you're thinking through your website flow is keeping folks on the website. And so especially if you're asking them to give, whatever technology you're using, hopefully Colorado gives, you're keeping them on the website. They're not getting, sent away to some weird pop-up or different URL that they don't trust. All of those things really impact a donor and their decision to donate or how much they want to donate, and if they trust your organization. So we have some tools available to you to make that a little bit easier. So first, I'll show you what I would do and what I suggested that this organization do for their website. So let me head back to their organization page. I gave them a couple tips as to how they could change their donation button. So the first that I would say, and I would say if you are considering this, please do it. Use your embeddable donation form. If you have access to your embeddable donation form, it's customized, it's embedded directly on your external website, and it's really customizable. So you can add custom questions, and then it looks and feels like it's a part of your site. People aren't sent away to a different place. And so the embeddable donation form, which some of you have for free through this program, some of you can access this for $19 a month. It will be available for free for everybody in year 2, so make sure you apply. But I just wanted to really highlight that the embeddable form is really the highest or most productive way for you to collect donations on your external website. And I'll just show you 2 other suggestions if the embeddable form isn't something that you can consider right now. So embeddable form, priority number 1. Number 2, you can connect your donate button on your external website directly to your donation form. So skipping the organization page. And so up here, right at the top, you can see that there's a copy direct donation button. I'm going to copy that. Just going to copy paste it here so you can see what it looks like. This is going to take people directly to a donation form. So it eliminates one of those steps when you're connecting it to your donate button. And the last thing I'll show you with this is if you are asking for monthly recurring gifts, you can simply add $recurring, gotta spell it right though, equals true. And that can actually default your form to monthly. And so if you are asking for monthly versus one time, there's really easy ways to adjust that URL so that folks are dropping right on that page and able to donate with the toggle on of monthly or one time. Okay, last thing I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. Let's head back to the organization page. The last thing here that you can consider is the widget. And so widgets are really the free version of the embeddable donation form. You can access these at any time. You can also, as you can see, do multiple widgets. That helps you maybe track who's donating on what pages. So you can do one widget on your home page, one on a program page, maybe one somewhere else. And you can see where the donations are coming through. And so the idea here is that you are adjusting your customizable form, you're naming it, you're likely keeping track of the page that you're putting it on your external website, and you're literally just copy pasting and generating that code to put it on your website. And just so you know what it looks like, that's what the widget looks like on your external website. Really nice, concise. Folks can do a recurring or one time. And then if you were considering a embeddable donation form, let's head here. These are our friends, they're in our program, WeCycle, and they have embedded the form. So when I click donate, excuse me, yep, it's going right to the form. When I click donate from WeCycle's homepage, it's going to go right to the form, looks and feels like their site. And so this is building digital trust. It's keeping folks on your website to continue to engage with the content you want while still using and processing donations through Colorado Gives. So getting those low fees and support and access to all of that data in real time. So just wanted to point that out as you're thinking through all of the great buttons that you have on your homepage and call to actions, just thinking through streamlining so that donors are landing on the place where you want them to take action and not somewhere else. Any questions on those couple of tips before we head back to the slide deck? Let's see, I'm just
Appreciate you, Jordan, for showcasing that. I mean, I think what I
Sure.
love about the Colorado Gives tools is the, just that there's a lot of these options available for folks to use, depending on their technical skills, which part of the program they participate in, et cetera. I think I would definitely second your comment that the embeddable donation form is definitely the best kind of user experience that I think you can have for a donor. Like, you're right, they stay on the same web page. It creates that continued trust because everything kind of still looks the same. And by the way, if you scroll back up to the top, I will say that I really love and encourage people to use these kind of descriptions for the gift levels. I think that kind of language really draws the prospective donor in as he or she thinks about what level of gift do I want to make. When they get to a lot of studies have shown that when donors get to donation pages, at least half of them haven't made a decision to donate yet. They're still thinking about it. They haven't finished like really making the gift. They're still thinking about it. And so you still have time here, and you have time to be able to do that convincing people that your work is valuable and that their gift will make an impact, more importantly. So this
I
is
love
great.
that.
Yeah.
I'll mention just one more thing about the embeddable form before we head back. You'll see here that WeCycle did a great job at using the custom questions available in the form. So of course, we don't want a billion questions in a form. We want people to take the action to donate. We don't want to deter them, but these are important to them. Why choose to give to WeCycle today? That is obviously integrated into how they're going to engage with that donor after the transaction is made. They're also asking for a phone number and keeping it optional because some folks don't like potentially to, include their phone number, but that is likely something that they are following up with the donor on after that transaction has taken place. And the last thing I'll mention here that I think a lot of people don't realize is with the embeddable form, folks can donate with credit card, PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay when they're on mobile. And so it's all really built in here. You don't have to have a ton of different buttons, PayPal, Venmo, this, that. It's all really built into this one form, which is a great experience for the donors as well. All right, thanks for listening to me. I'll hand you back over to Michael.
And I'll just add as you switch off that those survey questions, the ones where you can ask people, why they're giving today. Another great question is, how did you hear about us? I have a couple of clients where we've really pushed that because they're trying to understand, how people found their site, how people heard about their organization, and also if they're spending money or effort on different types of marketing. It's really helpful to get that kind of direct feedback from donors. Okay, I'm going to do my screen share again. Let's see if I can get this up and running. It's going to give me the wrong screen, but I'll make a little correction here. Sorry, bear with me while I get back. You threw me off a little bit, Jordan, there by taking my screen share away. There we go. Here we are. The slides are back. And Zoom is here. All right, screen share. There we go. All right, so hopefully folks can see that. Yes?
Looks good, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Trying to get my desktop real estate reorganized there. Okay, great. Well, I think that was a great tour through the world of websites, and I'm just so glad that we were able to sort of end that up with Jordan with your review of how the Colorado Gives tool kind of fit into the mix. because I think it leads in perfectly well to our second topic, which is really about, sort of finding, your best tech tools. And I think the word that's working hardest here is the word your, which is to say that, each organization in a way has their own needs around technology and tools that that even though websites are available to everyone, etc. We all sort of use them in very unique ways to power our mission and our vision and engage our supporters. I was just trying to put together a list of tech tools that I think kind of give the best sort of representative view of what people are often looking for these technology tools to do for them. I mean, I think obviously website is probably the most common way, the common tool that people are using. Having seen all the great sites that you've all built, it's clear that you've prioritized that in your work, and I'm delighted to see that. You've evolved them in really unique ways, and I think that's great. As you know, there are so many different sort of vendors and services and technologies that you can use to do that. But luckily, in the last 5 to 10 years, it's gotten a heck of a lot easier, thankfully, for nonprofits of any size, especially those of us that are with smaller groups, to be able to build their own sites, keep them up to date. You can use a volunteer to do that. You can get help from a webmaster, a webmistress. So there's just so many options there in the web. So that's great. Constituent management, I mean, I think this is all over the map. So this is like, you're keeping track of donors, you're keeping track of volunteers, you're keeping track of just people that have subscribed to your list. There are a lot of tools out there that you can use. There's not a right or a wrong one. I'm always interested to see what people are using. In fact, if you have a moment in the chat room, I would be very interested for folks to, as I'm talking through this list, if they were to type out like some of the platforms that they're using. So I know someone said, "Oh, I'm using a Squarespace for my website." I bet some of you are using WordPress for your website. Maybe some of you are using Wix. So those are all the options that are out there. And thank you for doing that. And obviously, constituent management can be as simple as like putting names in an Excel spreadsheet, keeping things sort of pretty low tech, or maybe some of you have migrated to some kind of a cloud-based system to do that. I have a lot of clients that use just MailChimp and Constant Contact to manage their constituents, because it's just a really easy, affordable, functional way to do that. Others have purchased a more enhanced system. I don't want to get too deep into mentioning the names of specific brands or names of services, although we could, by the way, Jordan and Elizabeth, maybe dig into that next Tuesday. If people have questions about some of them, we can certainly talk about some of the brands that are out there. So that was something. And thank you, Kristen, for mentioning the ones that you're using.
Yeah, thanks. If you guys could share in chat, that would be helpful, because we can bring to the table next week some really specific experiences. So if you can share your CRM you're using and maybe your website, that would be awesome.
For donation processing, I mean, we know that obviously many of you are using the Colorado Gives platform tools for that, which is great. But I mean, I also know that a few of you have some other tools that you're using out there. Again, there's so many options. We like that the Colorado Gives tools are affordable and are available to you. They come with training, they come with everything else in the support of the organization. So that's great. And hopefully, as Jordan explained, those can be easily and seamlessly integrated, with your website. With email messaging, and I'm just watching, thank you all for posting so quickly in the chat room. I mean, for email messaging, we've got some MailChimp. Well, we have a lot of MailChimp actually, so that's great. We've got some Constant Contact. We've got an Emma, so I think we've got at least 3 different platforms. And again, there's no right or wrong here. It's sort of about, maybe you were introduced by someone who helped you figure that out. once you start using an email messaging platform, you get a little bit embedded in it. Maybe you've connected a widget on your site for registration. You've learned how to use the editing tools to craft email messages, send them out, how to keep track of the metrics. And it's just been great to watch nonprofits sort of harness the email messaging tools. And I have a lot of relationships with email messaging providers, and always reinforcing the importance of keeping the tools, easy to use, affordable, with lots of support, especially for the small to mid-size nonprofits that are out there. Going to keep looking at the chat just to see. Oh, very good. Katie Navin using Civi CRM and Constant Contact. Oh, I'd love to hear more about that next week. That sounds fantastic. Great. Fantastic. Obviously, social media, I would consider to be a tech tool. I'm sure that some of you are, just dropping into these platforms and just, posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Some of you are maybe on X or Twitter, etc. Maybe some of you are on TikTok and playing around over there. There's we'll talk about social media furthermore. And then I just added 3 more that I see pretty frequently in my travels through the nonprofit world. One is volunteer management, event management, and program management. There are software platforms that either specialize in these 3 areas or they are integrated into other platforms that you might have out there. I think that as you gain more experience, you have a little bit more capacity to roll out technology that hopefully you'll feel more comfortable experimenting with these. I think also the other thing that I would mention that, to the extent that you can combine some of these in one platform or another, can also help you. Let me just wrap up this section with I was thinking of the top 6 ways to sort of think about sort of the right tools. And when I work with nonprofits, with clients, or talk with groups like your own, always trying to emphasize these things when you're thinking about tools. Obviously you want the tool to be the right fit, that it has the kind of functionality that you need to let you, do what you need to do. But also importantly, that the tool itself is flexible and adaptable to your need, so that you're not putting, round peg in square hole and really having to really make something that's not working try to work for you. Just as you're evaluating things, make sure that they're really going to work for you, that they're flexible enough that they can really help you achieve what you're trying to do. Also, really, as you're thinking about new tools or changing tools, thinking about the challenge of doing the setup and the onboarding, as they say, onto that tool or that platform. How complicated is that going to be? What kind of help might you need? Are you going to need a consultant to help you do something, a webmaster? Are you going to need some help from the company itself? Those are not trivial things. Having heard from some of you in our discussions here, sometimes migrating to a new tech tool can be can be challenging. And so just thinking about how what the setup and the onboarding might look like for your organization is important. And then of course, you're always, ease of use. You wouldn't need to be able to get in and out of there quickly, do what you need, and also ease of use on the donor end, or in the real world. How hard is that tool for other people to use? Your supporters and others, always getting feedback also from your supporters. Maybe you have a volunteer tool or an event registration tool, getting feedback from them like, hey, I like this, but this feature doesn't work, or doesn't show up right on my screen, doesn't look good on mobile, just all that kind of stuff. Being really open to hearing, feedback from people on what's working. Of course, costs are always a factor. Typically there are, service fees, sign-up fees, and sometimes transaction fees. Again, this is why I'll just keep reinforcing, with Colorado Gives, I think you get, just some really great, just a great value in terms of these costs. So it's just great that that's there. And then finally, and just having ongoing training and support for you to use the tools well, to think about how to had strategically how to roll these out. And certainly we hope that these courses have given you ideas and thoughts for how to do that going forward. I'm going to pause there, Jordan, and just see if you had anything else you wanted to add on this theme, or anything else you want to talk about with Colorado Gives. I've tried to give you my warmest recommendations for just how good the platform is, but that's just a broken record at this point.
No, thank you. So would you mind going back one slide? I just had a thought while you were going through this, and maybe it's because I worked for multiple nonprofit software companies in the past before moving to the foundation. But I think another thing to consider when you're assessing your tech tools is, of course, cost, service fees, transaction fees, labor costs to set up, to continue to manage, all that stuff. I think one thing that is kind of overlooked is the actual terms of the contract. And again, maybe I'm very sensitive about this, having worked on the tech side of things, but gosh, there are a lot of software companies out there who are really just trying to get you to sign on for as long as they can and once you sign on, they continue to raise the price in year 2 and year 3. So I just, as a word of caution, like Colorado Gives, there's no contracts. You can subscribe and unsubscribe from the advanced features or the essentials tools. We wanted to make sure that this was available to all nonprofits, either for transition or forever for them to use. And so when you're engaging with different technology companies, just make sure that their terms are flexible enough, because you never know. Your nonprofit is always changing. The staff is always changing, growing. And so you might need to make a change. And I hate seeing when a contract at a software company, holds a nonprofit up from growing. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, maybe just my sensitivity, but I've seen it happen a number of times. And you can negotiate that kind of stuff. You can drop terms from a contract with a software company. They want your business. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, let's head to the next slide.
Before we head to the next slide, I just want to quickly highlight a couple of things in the chat room.
Sure.
Thank you, Abby Dubois. You're using Little Green Light for constituent management, and I believe there is somebody else using it as well.
Yeah, and that does integrate with Colorado Gives.
Yeah. Abby, if you're able to join us next Tuesday, I would love it if you wouldn't mind sharing that. Just a brief, presentation of what you're doing with that. That's a really interesting platform for constituent management, and you're also using it for volunteer management. So I think that might be interesting for other people to hear about. And then I noticed that Allison, you're using Salesforce for volunteer management. That is pretty fascinating as well. I think I'd love to call on you to talk about that. That sounds fantastic. And then Katie Navin, you're using Civi CRM, which is something I don't see that much. So I'm thrilled to hear that. I was wondering maybe we can call on you next week to just talk about that briefly. Allison, you're actually asking that you're looking for someone to help you using Salesforce effectively for donor management. So I'm just gonna highlight that one up. Jordan and Elizabeth, let's see if we can think of some way to support Allison in that one. And then finally, Tessa, you talk about using Hootsuite, which is a tool for social media management. That would be a great one if you wouldn't mind on Tuesday, just talking to us a little bit about how that facilitates your social media management. Okay, thanks. I'm just want to quickly call those out. Okay, I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay, these are just a couple leftover slides from before, but I think, Jordan, you covered these really well with regard to embedding donation forms. So that was great. We talked about that. Good. Okay. All right. Let's, just keeping an eye on the time, let's just dig into a couple themes around social media. I mean, as I think I've mentioned before, I've been following all of you on social media just to get a sense of what you're doing there. And I have to say, you are all doing an absolutely terrific job connecting with people, updating folks about upcoming events, photos, just absolutely terrific. I was, just a few that passed, through my feeds. This great backyard bird count is something that's very close to my heart because I'm a birder and a botanist, and it was just so great how you were promoting this on your social. WeCycle does such a great job also promoting their diaper wipes and formula events that come up in the community. Multilingual, just fantastic way of using your your social channels for that. And this is also just two themes I just want to reinforce. One is like great to use the social media channels to push content out to your supporters, but so important to connect your social media back to your website, right? To learn more about this event, click here to get to our website, or to register for this, click here on our website, you'll find the registration page. Just so important to make those connections between the two. You may have literally hundreds of followers on social media who have never been to your site, and so you always want to be connecting the dots between those channels. Just so important to do that. And then finally, you may have hundreds or thousands of people following you in social media who have not taken the time to provide you with their email addresses. And it's just so important to find clever and visible ways to remind people, hey, head over to our site to give us your email so that we can keep you updated on something that's coming up. Maybe there's something that they can download from your site. Maybe there's something unique over there, but really just focusing, I have organizations that literally like every 2 weeks, they'll find a clever way to remind people to give you their email. You got your web, you've got your social, you've got your email. They should all sort of work in concert with each other, and always wanting to make sure that everyone is connected in as many different ways as possible. Of course, as you know, people can always unsubscribe from things. They can always stop being a follower. It's really up to them. But really, just want to make sure that your social media is fully connected. And then finally, because this is a class on digital fundraising, just really like seeing when you are all using your social media channels to promote either a fundraising campaign or something related to different ways to give. I love this piece, this post from the Sand Creek Regional Greenway Partnership, where they were promoting, making monthly gifts, and how it makes an impact on some of their weekly programs. Just love this kind of stuff. Whether you're doing it as part of a big push during Colorado Gives Day at the year end, whether you're doing this in the spring, maybe you have a spring campaign, or just like this, just regularly reminding your followers on social media that their gifts, their donations make a huge impact, and we need their support. So you should always be making the case for giving on social media. So I just want to keep encouraging you to do that. Great.
Hey, Michael, before I move on,
Yeah.
I was curious. I think a lot of nonprofits are typically, I love seeing this because a lot of nonprofits are typically asking for a single or one-time donation when they're posting about it, and not necessarily a recurring gift, even though, gosh, I think the messaging and impact that you can share with a recurring gift is so much more powerful. Is there like rules around when a nonprofit should be asking for a one-time gift versus a recurring gift, or do you suggest nonprofits really focus on trying to get folks to have that recurring gift? What is the balance there?
That's a great question, Jordan. I don't know if I have a super neat answer there. I think to some extent it's up to each organization to sort of figure out what their how their constituents sort of engage best with them. I mean, I think the key around any kind of fundraising is to make sure that it's very well aligned with the program work that the organization is doing. So no, if your summer period from June to August is the busiest time when you do your programs, maybe you have some kind of send people out into the wilderness to do some kind of project, maybe you run some kind of summer camp, then, maybe in the lead up to summer, like that's your busy season. Well, then that's when you want to be, doing the fundraising. And, so, obviously we all fundraise during the year end. So that's sort of formulaic, but I think, other times of the year, it's really, I think, up to each organization to figure out sort of what works best for them and what pushes their supporters to respond the best. And then in terms of the other part of your question about one-time gift versus monthly gift, I mean, I think that's something that you have to arrive at again through some experimentation. And I think there's been some shifts in giving patterns over the last few years that we've also noticed, or that have been studied and researched. I mean, there's been a decline in one-time gifts and in the size of gifts, and there's also been an increase in monthly giving, partly because people want to spread out their gifts more. They have a little bit less money on hand to do that, and people are uniquely generous in the United States, so I'm not worried about donations ever stopping altogether. But there's different trends, and I also think it's up to each organization to sort of figure out how to message this, sort of thoughtfully and intelligently. That's why I was sort of pulling out. I mean, the Sentry thing. I mean, if you have a program that's year round or very kind of cyclical, you could try to work in that kind of monthly donation request that sort of fits in with that. If you have a big event coming up, or a big campaign where you need an influx of money, or you have a matching gift from a business partner or from a foundation, and they're like, hey, we have a $15,000 matching gift, make a one-time gift and help us make the match. So I think it can, you have to come at it with some experimentation to see what works. I mean, I'm sure if we opened this up to the rest of the group, there'd be plenty of examples from people about, gee, we tried doing monthly giving, monthly asks here, it didn't work here, but it worked better here. It can vary a lot. I mean, with some of my clients over the years, the thought is like sometimes at the beginning of a calendar year, people tend to like start new monthly donations because they can kind of figure out how many times they're going to run. But again, there's a lot of there's a lot of variability depending on the organization's missions and programs. Anyway, that was a rather long-winded attempt to answer your question, Jordan. So feel free to reframe it in your own words as well.
No, thank you so much. That's really great. And I think just to confirm, we are very closely tracking through Colorado Gives one-time donations versus recurring. And, I think based on the recurring gift match that we offered for Colorado Gives, we are seeing a spike in recurring gifts. But I think also organically, we are seeing a lot more of the folks that are using our platform begin to cultivate and ask for recurring gifts because of that. The economic state isn't that people aren't giving. They're just not giving $1,000 one-off. They're giving in smaller monthly increments because that's what they're comfortable with. So we're certainly going to continue to work to provide materials to help nonprofits start to ask for recurring gifts more. But yeah, there's a balance, right? Because you said for matching grants, you want folks to set up they want them to give a one-time gift if you have a matching grant available. So yeah, thank you for that.
Right.
That was really helpful.
Yeah, and also the Colorado Gives tools are great in that way because of the way you can, you can default those donation pages to monthly giving. Which is great. I mean, it's sometimes this mentality of like, you get to the page and it defaults to one-time gifts, but then if you want to make it monthly, there's a little checkbox. You can reverse that. And you can kind of play around with like, why don't you start out by asking for a monthly donation and see if that resonates a little bit better with folks. So you can really play around with that and think about it. And there's also, to the extent that there's been, especially in the United States, this move towards people having monthly fees for everything, from Netflix to whatever else they're subscribing to, and I think that's also pushed nonprofits into trying to use some of that language a little bit more. There's a hand question or comment up from Roya Brown. Over to you, Roya.
Thank you. Something unfortunate happened to our mobile preschools last week. It was stolen, and It was found on Wednesday, and it was positively tested for fentanyl. So we are going through all these unfortunate things, you know. So what do you, we want to put this in Colorado, give this story that this would happen. I mean, do you suggest for us to do this? You know, I mean,
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm so sorry that that happened. Gosh, that'll definitely put a wrench into 2024 plans. But yes, I think we can definitely tell that story and help you to potentially raise some more funds to help you get over this hurdle. Roya, would it make sense for us to maybe connect one-on-one and talk about getting a page set up to
and,
raise
you know,
funds?
actually, no, with Javier, Javier is with us, you know.
Great,
I am not
Yes,
very,
I will be the one connecting with you
yes.
guys.
wonderful. Yeah,
Please connect with
there's
Javier. Thank you so much for your suggestion.
Yeah, well, thank you
Thank you.
for raising your hand, and we're,
I-
yeah, this kind of
I w-
unexpected stuff happens. So Javier, I'm happy to reach out to you and spend some time talking about what your campaign can look like, because I envision it as a fundraiser page connected to your organization page where you have a specific goal and you're telling this story of this hurdle that your nonprofit, you know, has encountered and how the donations will impact and help you to move forward towards your mission. So yeah,
Awesome.
let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just shared the link of the incident. 9 News cover
Thank you.
the incident, so it's just in the chat. Thank you guys.
Wonderful.
Just
Thank you.
send me an email and we coordinate. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks for bringing that that issue to our attention, Roya. Again, so sorry that's something that you're coping with. I mean, I think, you know, just to bring it back to the group topic. I mean, I think, you know, an emergency appeal, which is really what this is like. I mean, you're going out to your community and you're saying, you know, we've had a situation happen that's impacting our programs. You know, we're in urgent need for some financial support to help us do, you know, X or Y. You know, we invite you to, you know, visit our site or our social to learn more about the incident or how the community is responding, and really just going at it from a place of empathy and engagement. And I think, you know, this is what these tech tools help us do. They help us reach out through email, through our web, through social media, and of course with our donation pages and everything else, we can kind of give our supporters and others an outlet for helping out. And, you know, for any one person who wants to give, you know, $50, $100, $200 to help, you know, there's also someone else like, I don't have any money to give, but I'd love to volunteer. As, you know, so make sure that you're keeping those channels open. You know, not everybody, you know, can make a donation, but they may be able to support you in another way. So just being open to that always when you're doing these kinds of emergency appeals. And I mean, I hope that succeeds. And thank you, Jordan, for jumping in there with that. Thank you all. Okay, I'm just going to round out this social media section. I know Jordan wanted to add a little bit, but I think we can talk on Tuesday about Hootsuite. Which are, you know, there's tools that we can use for social media to help you, you know, build some extra efficiencies. I know a lot of organizations use the free version of Canva, which, as you know, is sort of like a design tool that lives on the cloud to create images and stuff like that. Something like a Hootsuite, and there's some other brands out there, you know, can help you to schedule social media posts and to write them automatically with, you know, AI tools and everything else. So, you know, I'm actually excited about some of the evolution of some of these tools, whether they're AI tools, design tools, scheduling tools. I think they make the process of managing a social media presence much, you know, just much easier. Especially if you're working with, you know, a group of volunteers, maybe one staff person. It allows you to have multiple people collaborate on there. There's a link here at the bottom, and this link will be live when you receive the deck to a whole slew of Catchafire resources for you to learn about. Jordan, I'm just going to pass it over if you wanted to add anything else into this topic.
Oh, no, just thank you for highlighting this. I'm just looking at the chats right now. Susan said, we did a similar emergency appeal during the early days of the pandemic. people really wanted to help and we're grateful for a channel to do so. Yeah, it's, yeah, I think any kind of emergency appeals that you're doing, whether it was for the pandemic or now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a crisis that's happening internally at your organization. You could frame it as a crisis related to your mission, an emergency appeal related to helping Susie, this example, person that's going through your program. So I think there's a lot of ways you can use the urgency around emergency appeals. What you want to stay away from is just making sure you're not doing that all the time, crying wolf to your donors. So thank you for sharing that, Susan. I also saw Abby said, so I wanted to highlight this, that Canva gives nonprofits free pro accounts. So several folks on the team can access all of the great tools. We at Colorado Gives love Canva, and we're going to be building more and more of just the general toolkit resources in there for exactly that reason, because they, cater to nonprofits and because nonprofits can easily access those tools through Canva. So if you haven't explored it yet, please do, because it's so much fun, at least for me, and a wonderful branding opportunity for you guys. As far as the social media, yeah, just wanted to, I had sent some links out, but just wanted to remind you that Catch a Fire, if you need to audit your social media or get it set up or create a new plan because your current plan or what you're doing isn't working or it's taking up too much time, Catch a Fire and their experts can help you to hopefully discover some more efficiencies. So that would be my only comment on this slide. And thank you all for commenting in the chat as we go through here.
That's great. And Roya and Javier, as you were just going back and forth on this particular topic, if we can continue, if it would be helpful, we're glad to continue this conversation with you on Tuesday during the Learning Lab. If you have, want to brainstorm with the group and think a little bit more, and maybe we can actually, if you're able to join us on Tuesday, maybe you can give us a quick update on your efforts, since we want to be here as a community to support you. Great. I am going to click here and just move into. It's really it's a topic we've actually all really just covered already. It was actually really mostly supposed to be an entry for you, Jordan. Just if you wanted to talk a little bit more about the tools, but you don't have to if you feel like we've covered it enough.
Yeah, I feel like we've definitely covered enough and exposed you to Colorado Gives in the past. But just want to encourage you guys, if you want to talk, deeply about the Colorado Gives tools and how it all integrates and works with everything else that you're using tech-wise, I'm always available. And we can also set you up with an expert to help you onboard or transition. Maybe you're taking all your stuff from Bloomerang and putting it into Colorado Gives. Whatever that looks like for you, we can help. Related to this slide, yeah, just wanted to highlight for you guys that we want you to be operating and accepting donations through your website. So we give you those custom widgets and forms so that you can do so. Of course, we want as many different options to be built into the platform to process donations and make it as easy as possible for donors. And so we have multiple transaction options for folks, all at the same low fees, which is great. We are able to negotiate those fees to be standard across all different credit card amounts, PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, all of that experience is at one great low industry fee. And then we've talked about this, but just consider what it looks like to attend these monthly training events, to ask your donors to set up monthly recurring gifts. Where are there opportunities within your segments of folks to upsell them or to get them on a consistent giving plan like a monthly gift? If you guys have upcoming events or really want to look at what is peer-to-peer fundraising and how do I do that? Colorado Gives can help you with that as well. And so there's lots of different, types of pages related to peer-to-peer fundraising to help enable folks to raise funds on your behalf. And especially for folks that are going through your program, maybe lower income folks who are not the ones that are going to be giving you those big gifts, they can still get involved. They can volunteer, of course, but they can also create a fundraiser page on behalf of your organization and raise funds through their friends and family and network. And then last thing, I'll just encourage you guys to think about, not just for Colorado Gives Day, because we will be giving you a match for Colorado Gives Day again, based on your attendance and engagement in year 2 of the course, but also what are your other campaigns that you're running throughout the year? Like Michael had referenced, where are your really high times of the year where you're engaging with a lot of folks? That might be a great time to identify a matching grant or a matching grantor and put that on your page to encourage more gifts and more activity. So just, some things I wanted to mention as you guys are planning out what spring and summer looks like. There are some really easy ways and levers that you can pull to hopefully get more engagement and more activity from your donor base.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Jordan, for going through that. We are kind of at the end of our session today. So we're at 9:18 off Pacific time. But just want to remind you that we are going to reconvene again next Tuesday, which will be our learning lab. And I've been taking notes as we've been going about folks and themes that we could cover. Thank you all for the great comments today. And we'll cover as much of this stuff as we can. And I think that's what we have for today. But if folks have any last questions or comments, I'm seeing a few things going on in the chat room. We're available to keep talking as necessary.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to answer
Great.
before we hop off today. Kristen, you had asked, how do we sign up for year 2? And I mentioned at the top of the session that in early April, we will be emailing you guys first. So you will be first to get the invite. And we're going to be asking you to fill out a short application, much shorter than last year, because we have a lot of your data already. Just so you can acknowledge that you want to be part of year 2. And that you can commit the time. And so you'll be hearing from us very shortly here in early to mid-April with the invite for you to apply for year 2. And as long as you are able to commit to the hours, you will be accepted into the program. So we're so excited to see you for year 2 in 2024. Thanks for asking that. Michael, anything else from you before we say goodbye for today and see everybody next week?
No, not really. I will look forward to getting, Jordan, from you the chat so that I can think a little bit about our agenda for Tuesday. As always, I'll be following folks on social media, getting your email newsletters. And yeah, we look forward to reconvening with folks again on Tuesday to continue the conversation together. So
wonderful. Well, thanks, everybody. You can expect an email from me today with a lot of these links that I shared in the chat. You can also expect a reminder Zoom for next week, March 26th. So I'll make sure everybody's invited to that. And then if you have any questions, if you want a one-on-one with me or with the Firefly team, I'm happy to help coordinate any of that. I hope you all have a great rest of your week and weekend. And thank you for coming today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.